Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio here on AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
Trying to make it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just got to shake it off.
Yep. One of those days. That's all right. We'll power through here. You might get some background music on the show today. Just try to ignore that as best you can.
Yeah, I've never
Just like we are.
I've never figured out, and you know it's a pet peeve of mine, how people just can't leave things how they found it. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
No time to lecture now.
Maybe even a little better than they found it would be nice.
It's incredible. It's just
the boss is on the way.
Yeah,
Bill.
I'm sure he'll be tickled.
I mean, I've literally turned off every input in this entire bar, and we still have music, so I don't.
It's a good thing he lives close because he is not going to be happy.
Yeah, I mean, I've turned off literally every device.
No, you listen, you give that to me, and it's.
I don't know what's happening.
Shoot, I'm fortunate to be here, man.
Yeah, what was your water situation like? You text you're paddling in. I'm like,
no, the water situation was cool.
Yeah.
So I've had a couple of episodes.
Okay.
And it's all self-induced. This isn't anybody's fault. And cue Amazing Daniel lecturing me how to brush my teeth. Because I don't know if you remember me telling the story how sometimes when I brush my teeth, I do this weird thing where I kind of want foam and I don't want to really mess up my sink. And sometimes I forget to breathe while I'm brushing my teeth because I'm just trying to. So I've almost, choked myself with my own toothbrush.
Don't do that. That's not good.
Another time, it's probably about 5 or 6 years ago. I was just kind of bebopping around in the shower, man. I'm singing, of course, and I'm washing out my belly button, and I poke myself too hard. So I drop to a knee because I don't know if no, this is dumb.
So you gave yourself a standing 8 count because you poked in the belly button too hard?
It was crazy. So now I'm
what were you digging for, man?
I just was making I'm weird. So, and I kind of zoned out.
I'll clean out the belly button, but I've never got that.
And
aggressive.
I was like, oh, and so, and it kind of hurt my back.
Oh,
so
no.
I'm like, shoot, man, I'm getting old.
Well, yeah, there's a nerve that goes.
Bro, today was one for the ages.
Oh.
So, this whole week, I'm up from 1 to 4.
Yeah, you're not.
I just can't. It's something is clearly not right.
Yeah.
Right? So, I'm in there. And I'm showering and I have a routine, so I'm washing my face first. And for whatever the reason, I was watching old Bugs Bunny cartoons, not the new drawings, but the old ones. And so there was one of these episodes, and it's how dry I am, and all of a sudden the water gets turned off, and it's drip. It's a Bugs Bunny episode. So I'm washing my face. It's lathered up, right? And I'm shaking my head. And I'm how dry I am, how dry. I'm just kind of doing that. And apparently, bro, you're not even gonna believe this.
Oh no!
I got lightheaded.
You made yourself dizzy.
Yes. So I'm I kind of fall this is a grown man, just on his rear end in the shower, and the water just hit me in the face, and I was man, I either need some sustenance, I got low. I don't know. I felt like you for a second with low blood.
Yeah.
I almost dizzied myself out.
Just washing your face
is incredible. It had to be the stupidest thing I've done some dumb things, right? But I'm what is going on? But I made myself dizzy.
Yeah, that's not great.
No,
it's not.
But it's sometimes I just get
in the zone.
Yeah. I totally zoned out and almost knocked myself out.
I feel like I would notice I wasn't feeling good before I got to that point.
So when you know what? It's not until you stop.
Oh, okay.
So it was I went to put my wash rag under the water to rinse it out, and I was ooh.
Oh, we're going down.
Is incredible. And our bathroom is a mini CVS, so there's adult shampoos, there's like kid shampoos.
Yeah, you got
There's
like the whole
two
selection
of
there.
each, and it drives me up the wall when people, let's just go with people,
Yeah.
put them along the part where you have to step out. Like there's 2 shelves, like put it on the back, like get it out of the way of the
You're trying to walk in, walk out.
curtain.
Yeah.
Nah, man, not in my house. Nah, which is very fitting for what's going on back where we got it. It's cool. Give it the once over. You know, and why waste this poor guy's money? Like, hey, I'm sure this is like is there a bill? Like, do you just let stuff run overnight?
I don't know. I would imagine electricity at the very least.
Hey, I've only seen him pissed a couple times.
Yeah.
How pissed do you think he is right now?
I'm guessing he didn't want to be here at 7:00 in the morning.
Nah.
Maybe.
But I'm just
more or less pissed than U.S. soccer fans last night.
So I hate all the hot takes, though.
Are they? Which ones are hot takes? Because a lot of them aren't.
So, okay, a couple guys in particular that I follow, and they've come up on this show before.
Okay.
With like strong takes about other people's strong takes.
Okay.
And Ravi, I've said, how many years have I said? Now, granted, I'm not gatekeeping because I'm far from, like, there's way bigger soccer guys.
Sure.
But I definitely understand
what you're talking about.
I definitely understand the national team.
Yeah.
We've had these conversations about why isn't American soccer good? Who's the guy that I always get on for being extremely critical of the men's national team?
Who is it?
Alexi Lawless.
Oh, yeah.
I've said this for...
He's like hyper. Yes. I thought you meant somebody we knew. But yeah, Alexi Lawless is, even when things are going okay, he's hypercritical.
He's extremely critical.
So it's hard to take him as seriously now when things actually are bad.
But what was flooding my timeline? I mean, people that I don't think covered the sport, but had tuned in to see Alexi Lawless rant.
Yeah. I didn't even watch Alexi Lawless. I was on my own.
No, he was correct.
Yes.
Like he told very few lies.
Yeah.
But that's who he is.
Yeah.
Like that's not even his if I wasn't so lazy in terms of being upset with people just retweeting the same, he said much worse.
Oh yeah.
Much worse than he at any point did last night. And everybody that likes to just bitch and moan or complain about something like, oh, did you hear what Lawless said? Yeah, I've listened to Alexi for 20 years.
Yeah.
He's extremely critical. And I've said this forever. So I didn't get I'm like, this isn't new.
No, it's not.
I'm like,
and that was what I was complaining on Twitter last night as well. But
I was surprised to see you jump in the fray.
That was one of the things that because I was getting really frustrated with people being like, oh, we got screwed by the refs.
Oh, the offsides?
Yeah.
I mean, it was,
I get it.
It was clearly offsides.
I get it, right?
Yeah.
It was fractional, like it was offsides, but it was like, okay, you go back, 15 years before VAR, 50-50 whether that's called or not, right?
Yeah.
So I'm having a hard time with something that, like, yes, I thought it was clear, but I didn't think it was egregious. It's not like he was, 3 steps ahead of the last offender. But, like, this isn't the VAR's fault. U.S. soccer has been – that's what I got mad about.
Okay.
Was, like, yes, I'm very frustrated with organizationally U.S. men's soccer. But this wasn't – I was getting mad about the fact that people are like, oh, the ref screwed us and blah, blah, blah. And I got mad about Berhalter in the –
being dismissive?
Well, in the last game against Panama, where before he even acknowledges that Weah should have been sent off, that he first was like, yeah, we knew we were going to have to deal with this ref. And I was like, hey, your guy punched somebody in the back of the head. Any ref is sending him off.
Everybody's mad at Weah. It's like everybody. I was still surprised at the 2-game suspension.
Yes. Yes, he absolutely should have been sent off. But after that, it's like, whatever, okay? My issue is not just with Berhalter, though. It's organizationally. The people that allowed him to come back.
Yeah.
Like, what kind of place is it that you can bully out one manager and bring back this other manager because one of your guys likes this guy better? And
let's not act like it hasn't been political for.
It's been. That's what I mean.
Okay.
That's what I mean. Like, organizationally, the thing is broken.
Okay.
right?
I'm with you.
So don't just put on Berhalter. Yes, he's bad at his job. I got that. There's a lot of people above him that allow him to be bad at his job twice.
And like, are we just going to act like Alexi wasn't like just talking over Carly?
No, yes,
that was wild.
It was.
That's fine.
So, and it's not. I don't dislike him. I do think he's overly critical.
I think he's overly dramatic in times where it doesn't deserve it necessarily.
Yeah.
So when there's times like this and it does deserve it, to me it doesn't really register. Oh,
No.
Bill got it. We love him. Nope.
No.
Just kidding. That was the end of the song. Still love him.
Hey, how about pretty good natured dude, right?
Yeah.
Hey, whatever you need, I got you. Hey, it's about
I'll
as
take it.
pissed as I seen him.
We're
We're
having-
having a little pep in his step.
We're having a tough day. It's all right.
This is minor. This is minor.
If you are like, I had so many people be like, oh yeah, I was tweeting things out, and I specifically didn't say anything about Berhalter, right? Because I think it's a much bigger problem than him.
Mm.
And then people would be like, yeah, Berhalter's got to go. And I would clap back every time. I was like, it's not just that dude. The tree is poisoned. You have to pull the whole thing, stump and all, out.
Yeah.
Like this, that you have to start over. And you know what it reminds me of?
You being mad?
Well, I am mad. But I'm more like Alexi this morning than I am Greg. But Greg was real casual about
severe. He was mad at his privates once.
Berhalter's real casual about being just god awful at his job. But the thing that
Hey, he is well liked though. It's sarcasm.
I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Gotta breathe.
Stay
Sim
present.
Donna.
Stay present.
Donna Summer. No, it reminds me of what we heard Frost talk about, or what you've heard Frost talk about with he thought he was closer, he thought could win right away, and he made sacrifices. I think this is like a 30-year-old problem. I think when they got out of group stage in 94, they got their hope. They thought they were further ahead as a soccer program than they were.
Yeah.
And they've been trying to take shortcuts to get to like a quarter or a semi ever since. Like that's what it feels like to me is U.S. Soccer thought it had beaten the system and they were on their way 30 years ago, and they've been chasing that ever since.
So I do need soccer guy to weigh in here.
Okay.
Because I felt like I wanted to put. I'm gonna stop saying his name because I don't want to give him too much credit for being amazing because he's really not.
Daniel?
He's self-glossed.
Yeah.
But I feel like we should have narrowed the scope because I felt like there were 3 discussions happening at once with.
Last night?
Yes.
Okay.
So there's the discussion of underachieving.
Sure.
There's the discussion of like and that's in relation to its rightful place in the soccer world. There's what's going on right now currently.
Mhm.
Then
Like
there's
this team, this manager.
then
this
there's
match.
this historic. And I don't even know why we started with this, except for you're super passionate and wow, everybody's pissed off this morning. We might as well just ride this wave. I need soccer guy or gal to hit us up 888-638-4876. You can hit me on social media. The perception is this talent is it's like in all time, right? I felt like
for the U.S.
I felt like listening to the panels the last handful of weeks. This is like I felt like it was Urban Meyer talking about Ohio State's roster this year. Hey man, this is the GOAT. This is historic. And I go back to like some of these rosters. And maybe Lawless was getting at this, but he was saying so much. It was like okay.
hard to filter through sometimes.
But I tried.
Yeah.
I mean, and most of it I'm watching real time.
Yeah.
So
Because it was on late enough, we don't have a lot of time to go back and watch
I
it.
can pause and think.
Yeah.
Plus, I got closed caption on. Okay?
Yeah, I always do.
So I'm thinking, all right, but like 09, like go look at that. That roster, there's Altidore and those guys.
Dempsey, Donovan.
Yes.
Yeah.
So really good.
Tim Howard's the keeper.
Even 02. Right. So I'm like, is he talking about what they have access to now, the training, where these guys are playing?
Mhm.
You know, he kept making reference to them playing overseas, and he's nipping all the arguments in the bud, right?
Yeah.
Like, they need to be at academies, or we're not serious about soccer here, or you can't blame it on MLS, or they're. So I'm like, but then he said, well, I think they're a really good team.
Mhm.
I just don't know if they're a good men's national team. Isn't that part of the discussion if we're gonna like compare and contrast? Like, what does you understand what I'm saying? Like,
I think so.
Is he talking about talent, or is he talking about? And I didn't want to like, let me call Ravi and see if this is a talent versus production thing, because they've grossly underachieved. So what got them to that? The thought process that
this is the most
they're
talented
goading.
So this is how I view it, right? Because I do believe
he said a couple of different things at once. So I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, so what's his main point?
So I do believe this is the most talented men's national team roster ever, and what I base that off of is the leagues where the guys play professionally.
Okay,
the guys on the team play at a higher level professionally than any at a more consistent basis, like more guys in the EPL, more guys in.
Is any of that have to do with opportunity?
I don't know. So
okay,
that's fair.
I'm not going to shoot it down real time. I'm just telling you the things that we're going through. Because
that's the only other possibility, right? Is either these teams, like I take Nebraska high school football, for instance, right? I think Nebraska high school football has had good players for a while. There's more of them right now, but also the opportunities are better because people have access to them. So both could be true. Mm-hmm. One could be true, not the other. And that's a fair.
At least you're vibing with like what might.
No, I totally understand, right? Like that is because U.S. soccer for a long time internationally was not viewed as international quality in terms of professional level. So it's entirely possible that there were guys that could have played at that level that just didn't get the chance because there was a perception about, kind of like with Euros in the NBA for a while, right?
Yep.
So that's entirely possible. All I can go on is the fact that there are more guys playing at higher levels than there ever has been in the history of U.S. soccer. So that leads me to believe probably the most talented roster we've ever had. Now, if that is true, then you are talking about a historic organizational failure within the U.S. men's national team from the top down.
Does it feel like, again, I'm open to helping me through this. Does it feel like we've had this conversation before?
Probably.
Yeah, it does.
But I also think part of that's because I do genuinely believe the talent has progressively gotten better. So I think we have had this conversation before, and it can still be true again today because I do think the talents continue to progress.
I wish Clint, who, by the way, may end up being better than I thought he was going to be.
Clint Dempsey?
Yeah. He's because I like a certain amount of unpolished,
and he's a little rough around the edges.
He's just rough enough.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, kind of like how I feel about this is not as good an example because he drives me crazy more than not. But it kind of reminds me of Shady McCoy.
Okay.
Right, like Shady McCoy is capable of saying anything, but he certainly, and some of it I think is
Eagles, Bills running back. Shady McCoy?
Yeah, some of it I think is legit nonsense. Mm-hmm. But he's just so authentic. Mm-hmm. He's just him. Like, it works, at least for now.
Sure.
Like, I don't know if he's going to drive that panel crazy. Like, personally, I hope Nacho disappears. But, I mean, whatever. Not like the guy that they found in the Allegheny River that had been gone since 2013.
No, just off the broadcast, not from life.
Which, by the way, how do you find a random car in the Allegheny River that dates back to a 2013 disappearance?
I don't know.
Yeah, dude was 79
I don't
know. Yeah,
that's rough.
Apparently didn't have all his faculties. I'm still waiting for more details. But again, just one of the random things you read at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just feels like we've had this conversation before.
We have.
So I wish somebody would have just asked the question, hey, A2. Well, I'm talking to Alexi. When you say they're a good team, just not a good national team, like what does that mean?
I don't know what that means because I don't think they're a good team.
Like I
don't know what that
I'm
means.
like, why? What, can I was listen, you know how I get. I'm all in on the
Call
interview.
on me, please.
Yep, I'm like raising my hand.
I don't know what that means.
I just wish somebody would have said, what does that mean?
I know what the most talented roster in men's national team history means, even if you could make arguments against it.
He clearly made a distinction.
Yes, I don't know what good team versus good men's national team is. I don't know. I really don't. Because when I see that, I don't see anything that resembles a good team in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I just don't need to see like national guys that don't really follow the sport be like, hey, ooh, he went all in. Like they just crave the,
and that's kind of
they crave the drama and the criticism.
That's kind of where Alexi revs. Like he revs pretty high.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, let's get in the solutions business.
Yeah.
So I just wanted them to like expound on.
Sure. And that's where
I left that thing. I wasn't enamored that he melted down. I'd seen that before. Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
And that's a question I don't have the answer to.
Yeah.
That's CB. I'm Ravi. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Shout out to Bill, the GOAT. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are talking what on earth is wrong with U.S. soccer. I feel like that could have been a sports talk topic for every 4 years for the last 30 years. But that's okay.
Yeah. I feel like
somebody brought Steven, not Steven.
And we're sure it's I love
it might be Stefan.
There's a dude. I don't really like him because he does say some funny things, but there's this black dude on TikTok. But he's usually always making fun of black people, which, I mean, it's neither here nor there for this discussion, but he always pushes his glasses up. And I'm like, I don't think that's ours, Steven, but we did agree that it's Steven and not Stefan.
For my guy, the well, actually?
Yeah, because I know you're not afraid to mispronounce words. Monticello. And anyway.
The entire state of Iowa was mispronouncing that word, not me.
Of course.
Just like Norfolk.
Wow.
No, that's Stephen Young. He's my well, actually guy who we actually.
Are you sure it's Steven?
I am not.
We've always said that.
It could be Stefan. But the
voice you gave him. Oh, this was months ago.
Well, actually,
what if it was like Stefan, and he has like fava beans and a nice Chianti?
The reason I say it's Steven is because
it probably is.
Literally, the only person I've ever seen in my life who pronounces it Stefan is Steph Curry. The only person.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he's not one of the. Yeah, he's not a one-off.
And he kicked your boy out of the Temptations this weekend. So
well, listen, I want them. I'll get to that in a minute. Like Steppenwolf.
Yes, I was gonna say that.
My guy. Oh, you have Magic Carpet Ride?
I have no idea what that
Steppenwolf.
Let's not overdo it.
Okay.
I just do that out there.
Fair enough. I thought we were just talking about classic 70s music, rock, but whatever.
Yeah, that's not your boy.
So Steven does clarify that it is Steven.
Okay.
Well, actually, he actually threw a well actually in, which I appreciate.
You need his wife to call in and reprimand you for your lack of reparations.
Reparations.
Today.
No, it's repercussions. No, the other Steven, he not my Steve Young guy, because that's my dude. I actually feel like
that's funny. Now, you're claiming a dude that slapped your wrist early on, but I'm like that too. There are a couple guys on Twitter that got on me early.
Yeah,
that I actually end up liking.
I like Steven a lot. We found some common ground, and he's still gonna correct me, but it's okay. And I'm gonna yell at him for correcting me when I don't like it, and it's fine. It's probably a little bit of a toxic relationship, but it works for us.
Well, do your thing where you say it's just family, but it's really code for excusing toxic behavior.
100%. Me and Stephen Young are like family. Mostly because he shares the name of one of my favorite quarterbacks of all time.
Oh, shoot.
But the other Steven goes, could it be, he's talking about Alexi Lawless comparing a good team versus a good national team. He says, could it be that's a good team, maybe one of the better teams assembled by the U.S., but still not good enough to compete with top international teams? I would say that might be a possibility, but we're not talking about top international teams. We're talking about Panama and Uruguay. This was not a death group to get out of for Copa America. It wasn't. This was a group that it was believed the U.S. could get out of just by accident.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're not talking about Argentina and France and Brazil and Portugal and Spain and Italy and England. Like, we're not talking about those teams. We're talking about Panama, who had only beaten the U.S. twice previously.
Apparently, you could be talking about Colombia here pretty soon, too. They appear to be on the come.
We're talking about Uruguay, who was not an outstanding roster.
So, as some like to say, Uruguay.
Uruguay.
No,
Uruguay.
not like Urgath Urbina, like the pitcher.
I think he went to prison for murder.
Yeah, me too.
I think he did.
Yeah, I'm not joking. Yeah, I think.
Like, I believe he did. I'm not making that up. I believe you got murdered someone in the Dominican Republic and is in prison.
I'm 100% with you. I think it's Uruguay.
Uruguay?
Stop it. That's not what I said.
Not Uruguay?
Wait, I want to grab you by your lips and fix them. I'm not going I'm not going Uruguay.
Uruguay?
Stop it. Jiminy Christmas. What the world is wrong with you? Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's a little role reversal here in that particular
Like, what
movie.
is going on? All I can see is me wanting to light Zoe up, asking me if I can curl my tongue, and she does her. I'm like, stop doing that. Stop it. It's not Uruguay. God.
Steven wants to come take a day off and come hang out with us.
Oh, he can.
Yeah, we're going to do breakfast again this fall. So come hang out.
And here's the cool thing.
We'll let you know what days those are when we've got them scheduled. It'll be soon.
If I make it that long, I will be a good host.
Yeah.
I'll be like, hey.
Be like, hey, what's up?
Welcome to our humble abode.
Hey, what's up? Hello.
Just an open hand slap
with
away.
arms wide open. Are you excited about my Creed tickets today?
No, you're a
We're
child.
buying them in 2.5 hours. Well, 2 hours and 24 minutes.
Sometimes I wish I
with arms wide open.
I wish I'd have knocked myself out when I fell in the shower. That'd have been good. So I was just probably like, God, what are you paddling for? It's just water. I'm like,
the amazing Daniel says, how do you pronounce Stanley Jean Baptiste? I pronounce it like that.
Listen, don't encourage him.
Stanley Jean Baptiste.
You put a quarter in that dude.
Croissant.
Okay. Shane.
What? Speaking of that guy, we're gonna have Schaefer on at 9:00 in the morning.
Yeah, Schaefer made
Mike J. Schaefer, Husker 24/7.
That's a grown ass man, right? This dude made some breakfast quesadillas that he sent me.
Ooh, I've never had a breakfast quesadilla. That sounds good.
I'm like, look, bro.
Put like bacon and sausage in there and a little egg.
I told him, I said, all these pictures you sent. He is I don't know about his seasoning game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to stereotype or make any generalizations. He may be nice, but the food.
The odds are against him, but he might be.
Just not taking the bait. It's amazing how I have to dial in second to second. Yeah, you almost got me again. But I had to tell him, I'm like, look, all these things that you send me, I think I could eat by myself. I'm sure you're supposed to be cooking for your family, but that wouldn't be enough.
I mean, little man's not eating anything.
You never know, he might. He's got him ready to toe the rubber here in about 4 months, he said.
I don't think you're
working on that overhand motion.
I don't think he's got
how to grip
yet.
a golf ball.
I don't think he's got teeth yet, man.
They gum that thing.
I don't know. There could be bacon involved.
But anyway, he sent me these quesadillas, and they looked absolutely sensational. And it had my go-to, nice ground breakfast sausage.
Yeah.
Oh.
You know what would kind of low-key be good in a breakfast quesadilla?
What's that?
Maybe a little bit of chorizo?
Yeah. So there's a place in town that has...
I like chorizo.
I think you and Micah. That has, without question, the best chorizo.
The SkyMax wants to know how many Red Bulls I've had this morning. I don't drink Red Bull.
No, and we need to tell my guy, tell SkyMax,
I'm just like this.
Yeah, something is clearly wrong with you.
Surprise, surprise.
I mean, we're going on weeks.
Yeah.
Like,
This is how I am.
the whole making fun of me like driving past a billboard, that was only last week. It seems like months ago.
Oh my gosh. T-Mobile? I should get a cell phone.
Yeah.
That's TBM, Ravi, Lulla.
Maybe we'll get to Coach Rule sit down. Maybe we won't.
Probably.
Hey, do you think we've heard a lot of talk about ADs? You think you'd have one bash you on your way out the door before you go to SC? Boy, he got loose.
It's not great. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage.
I'm going to try this Twitter thing. I'm new to it.
Yeah?
And I put it down before I even sent it out.
On the internet's there?
Yeah.
You got it?
Number one, I can't read because the font's too small.
I can't read.
That's for me to say.
Oh.
Sometimes I want to borrow your glasses, but those aren't readers. Those are
These are just regular
prescription.
Yeah, these are just regular glasses.
Yeah. And plus they don't sit right. Like they're crooked on your head, so I don't really want to.
Well, that's all right.
Did you break them?
I don't know. They look all right. What do you guys think? Hold on. Let's see if we can fix them a little bit.
I don't know. I can't see.
What do you guys think?
We're trying to fix them a little bit here.
Okay.
I used to work at a lens crafter, so should be able to manage this. I made eyeglasses for a while, DB.
Like crush the sand the whole nine?
Yeah, it doesn't come as sand, but they come as like blanks, and then you grind the lens down to the right prescription and do the whole thing, and then you shape them for you have to like scan the frames to get the right shape of the glasses, and you
You're a piece
cut them
of
out,
work.
and then you I assemble them and stuff.
Working my life away.
I straight up made eyeglasses.
It doesn't come as sand. I was joking.
Well, I don't know. Not everybody knows about the process. I don't want to make assumptions. Try to meet people where they're at.
Oh, goodness.
Yep.
I'm well aware.
Just like Amazing Daniel's trying to meet me where I'm at, because he goes, why is it important to say Monticello with the correct Italian pronunciation, but not Uruguay with the proper Spanish pronunciation? He says it seems racist. And I go, it was my ignorance. I didn't know it was supposed to be Uruguay. See, I turned away that time, so you didn't have to look at it. And I was saying Uruguay, which was incorrect. And I'm trying to work on my pronunciation, but DB doesn't like how my face looks when I do it.
Oh, I thought it was I turned away.
So I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
How do you say it? I mean, I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't know.
I'm just trying to learn.
Ryan says totally looks like a guy that would have worked at Lens. I don't even know what that means. I don't know what that means. I was the only Indian there, if that's what you mean. As far as I know,
Dude,
at least in my time.
cut it out.
I'm sure there are other Indians that work at the Great Luxottica Corporation. Just none that I was aware of.
Do you want to get to TK?
Yeah, why not? Let's go to the Hurrdat Hotline. We've got our guy TK. Let's talk about Coach Rule. What's up, TK?
Oh.
Good morning, fellas.
How you
How
doing?
are we doing?
Well,
We're doing great.
We're okay.
Hey, for the record, Ravi,
What's
and
up?
Damon can attest to this, I season my food. Not all of us, people who look like me think that mayonnaise is the greatest thing on God's green earth.
What do you mean people look like you? Like offensive linemen or lawyers or what?
Exactly.
I think we might have killed
Speaking of
DB.
offensive linemen, I am
lays in
I
the
am
cut for
ashamed of
those.
you.
You see how he just suddenly
ashamed.
dropped that and just moved on?
Who are you ashamed of, TK?
Oh, man.
Both of you for just completely glimpsing over.
Listen, I had your guys back.
What happened?
You guys both yesterday just barely talked about Kahina Torres.
Oh, I get it. I call him HKT.
We talked about him a little bit.
And Ravi actually nailed the pronunciation.
I think. I don't know. I don't know if it's Kahina or Kahina.
It's
Don't do it again.
Kahina.
It's Kahina.
It's Kahina.
Okay.
You had it right.
Okay.
He said, "Oh, it looks phonetically like
I don't know.
Kahina."
Someone's learned how to read.
Wow.
You mean Tahine?
and not just billboards and advertisements.
Hey, man. 2 toppings, $10, buddy.
That's a good deal, man.
Suck it.
I should read more.
Ryder eats free today.
What's that?
Your girl eats free today.
Oh, yeah.
That's a special.
It's Tuesday. Kids eat free.
He dropped the rider on me.
Let's go.
Have you heard me call her that?
Yeah, you call her that on air sometimes.
Oh, good.
You call her that all the time, DB.
Wow. Good recollection, TK. Zoe Ryder. I do. Hey, so I looked at that picture that you sent me of your, what did you call it? Fajita type Chipotle thing. It looked legit.
Yeah, I don't know. I just threw stuff together. I have to make it so it tastes good, but it's not spicy because my wife is kind of a wimp.
Yeah, I remember that whole Indian debacle. No
Whoa.
pun intended. No.
Why all of a sudden it got to be a debacle when it becomes Indian?
He didn't like the recommendation, but his wife doesn't have a spicy palate.
Okay.
No, true story.
All right.
It's not you.
Might have to.
It's not you. It's me.
Might have to break up our little production company, Jules and Mules, over here. The Mules is getting mad at the Jules. I don't know how I feel about it.
Oh,
Can't just call the Jules a debacle and think it's gonna be cool.
TK.
Hey, Houston, he has great feet.
Yeah.
His feet are probably some of the best I've seen of Nebraska recruit for a while.
He looks like a pro. He looks like a very, very accomplished interior lineman, doesn't he?
Yes, he has it looks like he has the proper attitude to block at the next level, and he can capture linebackers. And these linebackers they're not slow like me. They're not me out there playing nose guard and middle linebacker. But he does it pretty well.
You and I had a conversation yesterday too that I think was pretty interesting. That flew under the national radar. How about? And I made fun of you for going generic with Coach Williams, but Nebraska women's basketball just easy. Yeah, but still, Nebraska just landing 5-star basketball talent as well in Lincoln.
No big deal.
Hey, she's nice.
Oh yeah,
she's nice.
Oh yeah. That's all this. That becomes
looks like she's playing by herself.
Looks like a very potentially a very nice backcourt.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How many stars they got in that backcourt combined? 10.
Yeah.
This is why I really think that Nebraska could be one of the top 3 teams in women's basketball over the next 3 years in the Big Ten. And it's going to be difficult just from the pure talent of the new folks, but that roster is deep. And it's only going to get deeper.
And remember, she lost a couple of key players last year due to injury that she gets back this year.
Yeah. Everybody kind of forgets that.
So how'd you like to sit down? Did anything catch you by surprise? He's pretty consistent.
I wasn't surprised about any of that stuff. It seems like there's less and less talk about a quarterback competition. I mean, he still said
he threw him in there. He threw him in there, but yeah.
He said we need all 3, but there was no competition thing that I heard.
No, I think you're right. He did mention, hey, I think to get through, if we want to play 17 games, I think we're going to need 2 or 3. But he didn't really say, it's going to be an open competition. He kind of leaned into it a little bit more than he had.
Well,
I'm not surprised. But
go ahead, TK.
I'm not surprised, but I am surprised that people took offense to the desperate comment.
I'm desperate. I don't know about the rest of you.
How'd you read that? What surprised you about how it was internalized?
Well, I think people thought, some people, it's funny enough, the very desperate people on Twitter thought that it was a slight against them. Yeah. I saw that on a few places, and I'm like, you're just proving his point. You're the ones who are constantly wanting more.
Yeah. All right. We'll get that. That might be a nice little set because I got something for you. TK, I appreciate the call.
Hey,
you know what?
Have a good day, guys.
You got it, bud. You know what we need to get into?
What's that?
So that segment of the population that Cooch is talking about,
they got mad about desperate.
They're the same people that get mad about being positive in the off season.
Mm-hmm. They're like, off-season national champions. How many times have I heard it?
Hey, do you know how aggravating that is?
Yeah, it's like, what, do you want to have a bad off-season? Is that better?
Again, not to go all anti-Alexi Lawless.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
Yeah, what's the alternative to having a good off-season?
Like, do you not want it talked about? Like, so what are we really saying when we say that?
They're not. It's not even about the offseason. They're mad that good off seasons don't lead to wins in the season. That's it. Because if you start winning, they want to hear all about how great you are in the off season. Trust that. Like, they win 8 or 9 games this year. Off season national champion talk will be like, you remember when Bo's team beat was Arizona in the Holiday Bowl.
Uh-huh.
Nobody had a problem with being off-season national champs that year.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody had a problem going into that next year being like, oh, yeah, here we go.
I'm always here for the comment section.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Clat's sit down, which we'll unpack, and I'm like, are you guys really giving the eye-rolling emojis to a guy being positive? Like,
what's the alternative?
Yeah, what should he do?
You want him to be like, oh, God, we're in trouble. It's going to be rough.
They just have to be like miserable, because the only real alternative is to not pay attention at all.
Yeah,
because he's not going to say, "Hey, man, we're terrible.
We got some work to do." That's DB. I'm Ravi. We'll have more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
Prime time.
AM 590 ESPN Omaha. I didn't even say it.
Live from the Pillar Exterior Studio.
ESPN Tri-Cities, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts. If you're like our guy Travis R., who can't listen live anymore.
Why? Is Travis working?
He got a different job, I think.
Dang.
That's all right. But he...
Trouble T. Rav.
Yeah. That's... I don't think it's pronounced that way.
It's not.
No. I think it's Travis. Not 100% sure.
I don't think you should be telling me anything about enunciation or pronunciation.
Oh, you mean like Monticello? Or do you mean like Uruguay? You weren't even looking at me when I said it that time. You can't even get mad.
Just want to uncurl your
mad?
What a child. Wow. Make me look mature, and I just turned 15. Woo. Wowzer. By the way,
yeah.
What does you look like what does my man RP mean?
I don't know. If you have an answer for me when somebody says that I look like somebody that would have worked at Lens Crafters, please tell me, because I don't know what that means. I also don't look anything like I did when I worked at Lens Crafters.
Maybe it's because you're wearing glasses, you're sitting at a table, you've got that presence to where like somebody just wants to come up and get like glasses.
I actually didn't interact with customers at all. I was in the lab in the back.
Oh,
of course you were. It's where all the smart people are.
It's not no sand though. Just I'm not using sand. I'm sure there was sand involved at some point. Although with the polycarbonates, I don't know that there is. Like there is. They don't really make glasses out of glass anymore. I don't know if you know this.
This is the picture that I was talking about where I said you were outside and you acted like you didn't know what I was talking about.
You said I was with my family.
Well, I mean, you love Brooke.
I do love Brooke, but I was confused because I was like, my dad's not there. I don't know.
Can I tweet this?
Yeah, go for
it. This is classic.
I bet I'm the only kid to ever meet a Nebraska national championship winning quarterback with a Miami shirt on.
Yeah, like we have to talk about that.
We can. I can give you the story behind it.
So you want another funny story?
Yeah.
We have a Miami Hurricanes glass and plate in our house.
Really?
From when Caleb was little.
Amazing, Daniel. If I'm still saying Uruguay wrong, like call in and tell me how to pronounce Uruguay.
Why do you get him? He's just gonna keep it on. Huh?
Yeah.
You know he'll bring that up in 5 years.
I know, but so I'm giving him an opportunity to get it right, to help me get it right. Yeah. So when I almost did a little My Chemical Romance there, but you probably don't know who that is.
Who?
My Chemical Romance. It's a band.
Say it slower.
My Chemical.
Okay, that's good.
Romance.
Did anybody think he was saying mechanical?
What do you think you're saying, bromance?
Shut up.
Mechanical bromance. When I was a young boy. That's My Chemical Romance. It's a song.
I'm going to lose
my father. Took me into the city.
The what?
The city.
The city.
The city.
Why'd you say it?
Because that's how they sing in the song. I'm trying to emulate, you know?
God, that one is...
I'm practicing modeled behavior, DB.
Is that right? Who are you modeling for?
The My Chemical Romance.
You wouldn't even be my daughter at this point. She just turned 6. You suck. Wow.
No, Jared Leto is not the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. He's the lead singer of.
What are we talking about?
Travis here is it.
Travis S or Travis R?
It's not Jared Leto?
No, Jared Leto is the lead singer of 30 Seconds to Mars. Both kind of emo-y, though, so you're in the neighborhood.
Emo-y?
Emo.
Is that even an adjective?
No.
Emo-y.
It's like emo, but an adjective.
No,
so
I understand.
Emo.
You just made that up.
Yeah, 100%. Because we never make up words on this show.
By the way, I just want you to know Travis seasons his food.
No, that's other Travis.
Well, no, that would be TK Thomas.
Yeah.
But
wait, the other Travis also seasons his food?
He probably seasons his food.
Well,
too.
we're making assumptions here. I don't know. Now we're stereotyping in the other way. You gotta be careful here, DB.
Anyway, the whole thought process. So if you listen to that clip,
mm-hmm.
and you're like, man, I really like the direction they're moving.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with Kool-Aid? Does that have anything to do with Rule League?
Maybe.
Does that have anything to do with winning the offseason?
Maybe.
Open hand or closed fist?
How big your hand? Let me see.
They're big for a little guy. But listen, if that moves your needle, you don't have to apologize for that.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like
it sounds like good, solid
progress. Yeah. That's okay. Progress is positive. I understand if you get frustrated when people talk about progress and then you don't see the results of it. I get that. I do.
Stop letting those people off the hook. That doesn't mean it can't. If I talk about progress and I fail 10 times, do you want me to stop talking about progress? Or
much like Sir Mix-a-Lot, there was a butt coming. All right. So I was getting there. I understand the frustration of people talking about progress or hearing about progress and then not seeing the progress, right? I get that.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's like you asked in the previous segment. What's the alternative?
So do those people, like, if your child is struggling and you're in class or you're being taught or you're at it, do you just like want those people to just like stop teaching? Oh man.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's his 6th D in a row. Yeah,
Give up on him.
I'm done.
He's done. He's never going to learn how to read.
Why does it have to be about reading?
Just the first thing that came to my mind. For some reason, it's hard to tell.
For the record, I can read. I can't see.
Oh, yeah, because you should read more. Maybe if you had glasses, you would read more because you could see better.
Absolutely.
Should I hit up Lens Crafters?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak for the quality of product
Is it Lens
anymore.
Crafter or Lens Crafters?
It's a good question. I actually don't know.
Can't you just do it right now? I mean, don't you work for
I can't find any of my readers.
I mean,
I'm like 0 for 3.
Shane, it's been a decade. And I don't know if you know this. We're in a restaurant. We are not in a lab that can produce glasses right now. There's fairly large machinery. It's not going to do it by hand.
The second time in 2 days you had to point out that we're in a restaurant.
I'm told it just takes a little bit of sand. I mean, there's got to be some of that around here,
You're
right?
not out there like whittling with a knife, Shane. Like it's a process. It's a process. Trust the process.
You know what you have to do before when you build? You have to dig.
You got to dig.
You have to go in the opposite direction.
You got to go the wrong way to go the right way.
Absolutely.
No, it's I understand what you're saying, and I agree. I think there's a segment of the population that just doesn't want to hear about it until they see it, and for that segment of the population, I'd say
don't get on social media.
Yeah, stay off the internet.
Stay off the internet. Don't watch television.
Or you can mute accounts. It's incredible. Like you can do. You really have more control over what media you consume now more than ever. So just stop consuming the stuff that makes you mad. Just stop doing it.
Shane, can you play the clip? That's not the clip. Stop calling me. Like, it's almost like these people don't know I'm at work. Shane, the clip is, did you send that to the 3 of us?
That is correct.
Play clip. The question about building on experience, 09.
It's wild. So we have these like really, and it was a blessing for us. 3 of our best players, Ben Scott, Bryce Benhart, Isaac Gifford, all decided to come back, forgo the NFL. Ty Robinson, fully 4 guys that had draftable grades decided to not go to the NFL. I told some of them, like, you should go to the NFL, bro. What are you doing? And they're like, no, I want to come back. And so I have this elite experience that's really talented and also a bunch of really good young players that are watching them. So that's why I think we can win this year because of that experience. And then those young players are going to be experienced the following years. And that kind of is how, to me, you build something that eventually could hopefully make that jump to be in the college football playoff conversation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Was that thought process based on any facts? The correct answer is yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Returning experience coming back.
I was just trying to make sure you weren't trying to trick me, but yes.
No,
Sometimes you're trying to like trap me, and you know I don't like being trapped. I wiggle out, so I got to give it a second.
Tupac song. They got me trapped.
Oh, I thought wiggle out.
I think that's off the Brenda's Got a Baby album.
I was like, I can't imagine Tupac rapping wiggle. That doesn't sound like him.
Trap game.
Yeah, trap game, Shane.
Wiggle.
Stop.
Wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Do, 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 do.
So he can say that.
Yeah.
And lay out a plan and be optimistic.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, I could see that. That makes sense.
Yep.
Right? Like playing 4 guys that have experience. And I say, okay, so now Prince Umar and Cam Leonard could now go from, let's say, 18 plays to 25 plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then this guy can go from no plays to 10 plays.
Mm-hmm.
That's just good, solid development.
Yeah.
Like that's not, here we go.
Yeah, it's not smoke and mirrors. That's real.
But because he's developing guys, he shouldn't think that they can win. But it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So why can't, it's not like he said, you know what, I think we could be really, really good. And then all of a sudden you hear like crickets chirp.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do you think that? Oh, I just do. That would be different.
Yeah. There's nothing. I mean, and that is, I think that's kind of the root of the problem is we've heard coaches in the past tell us, and I know this is where a lot of people's minds go is we're close, right? We heard that for years, and then nobody would tell us why they were close or why they felt like they were close. And so people kind of, I know people don't like this word, people get kind of triggered when they hear some things that remind them of something in their past.
Yeah.
And they don't always take the time to put it in the proper context of what's happening now, right? And so what's happening now is like, yes, he feels like they're going to be pretty good next year. And he said, do I think it's going to be this year? I think it is. Is it going to be next year? Absolutely. Like, definitely.
Shane.
And so
Go ahead.
The difference is what you were talking about. He says, yeah, I think we're going to be pretty good for X, Y, Z, 1, 2, like, and then he lays it all out. He's not just saying like, yeah, I think we're close. Like, he's giving you real data, real evidence to tell you like these are the reasons we're close. These are the things that we're get better at. And if we're minus 17 in turnovers again next year, I should have to look for a new job.
So that was the consistent theme, right? Turnovers came up an inordinate amount of times, right?
Yep.
Shane, let's go with some more credibility, not just because I'm here, I think we can, right? Oh, you did it at Temple, you did it at Baylor, so automatically, therefore, you'll be able to do it at Nebraska. He didn't say that. What he said was, Shane, play clip 16.
I'd say I learned a lot. I'd say I learned a lot of things. I would not be able to be the head coach of Nebraska had I gone through that. Every decision you make is magnified in Nebraska 10 times over. And if you're not really confident in who you are, I could see it really affecting you. I could see you, compromising. I have such a different relationship with our players now. When I'm able to tell them, because, this generation is so concerned with how people see them. And for me, I've been national coach of the year. I've been, hopefully we can have him be our coach. I've been a meme and laughed at on SportsCenter, and as Rudyard Kipling says, if you can meet with triumph or disaster and treat those two imposters the same. And so I've been able to teach my own kids that. When I go out there now and the crowd's cheering, I've also had 50,000, 70,000 people in Panther Stadium screaming to fire me. And what I learned through all of that is, man, I just want to make it about my players. It's not about me. And coaches say that they mean it is about them. It's really not about me. Like, I came back to college football because I knew young people needed coaches that cared about them, coaches that don't want to throw them away, coaches that don't want to give up on them, coaches that want to make a environment where they can be safe to have failures but grow. And if I learned anything during that time there, it was Christian McCaffrey, Brian Byrne, all these amazing players I had a chance to coach. They're just people.
Remote versus near. right?
Remote miss versus near miss.
Being motivated by it, being able to overcome things that haven't always gone your way,
and learning from it.
Right? I could probably tell you outside of my brother and my dad. I haven't, because there was no teachable moment in that I can think of right now. So I'm gonna put that to the side. But the other, like the pits that I've hit, you can go all the way back to getting benched on national television, right? I think the ability to endure and come out of the back end better. So having gone through that, you know what I won't do? I won't celebrate a minor victory like a good rushing performance against Texas Tech and not pay attention the next 5 days of preparation. Like, see, that won't happen to me again, because I remember how that made me, like, you
remember how it felt, and you don't want to do it again.
Well, yes and no. I remember real time it felt pretty good until Pasadena happened. Yeah. And then it's like, well, you got to take some self-inventory. You're like, oh, boy. Yeah, I'm not doing that again. Which is why it describes a lot of my personality to this day. We don't focus on a lot of the accomplishments. We move on to the next thing, because I'm very guarded about
celebrating early
and not staying in the moment.
Yeah, not giving yourself an ability.
Because then that's
because you're afraid you're sabotaging yourself for the next thing.
And something inevitably you'll miss something.
Yeah.
Right. So I stay on high alert. Sometimes some people call it paranoia.
Well, that's why I hardline on so many things. Like, there's just some stuff I'm not doing again. Like, anything that I've like hardlined on, it's because I already tried that and it's not for me.
It didn't work.
Yeah, like, no, not doing that again.
So I when I hear that, if I'm motivated by that, or I think, golly, man, I could really relate to that, because that's really what we're saying when we make up those loosey-goosey terms like Rule 8 and off-season Kool-Aid. See, what we mean to really say is, you know what? I really connect with that guy.
Yeah.
I like him. But you know what? That may not mean that they win X amount of games.
Sure.
Guess what, though? You can still like the guy, and he can still be telling you the truth.
And
you understand what I'm
100%,
telling you?
yeah.
Like,
all those things can still be true.
That's what we have to be able to embrace.
And the other part of it is
you can't be afraid.
Yeah.
You can't be willing to make yourself vulnerable and not live with what could be on the other end.
It's like relationships, right? You can't be afraid to like or to love someone because you might get hurt or you might break up, because then you will never experience the joy of it working out.
And if you're really honest with yourself, if you want to stay with that analogy, you don't allow yourself to experience whatever the gift is to the fullest, right? Like you're
limiting yourself.
You rob people of their blessing.
Yeah.
Right?
And you rob yourself, honestly.
So
you rob yourself as much as anyone.
So it's like, I just don't, I'm just going through just go check out like the interviews and the clips and stuff and the comments. And it's like, you guys, it's okay. It's okay to care. It's okay to think this is good stuff. And they may only win 6 games, and it's still good stuff.
And it's still progress.
And it's still true.
Yes.
That's the thing. Right? Because you're trying to separate the process with the outcome. And we've talked about this 2 trillion times about being too fixated on the process. You better be able to resort to and fall back on your training and your preparation. So when those little moments hit and they're staring you daggone dead in the face and it's 4th and 4, he used a beautiful example. I wanted to stand up and clap. He said, you know what? I want to be able to play catch and convert 3rd and 5. Does that sound familiar?
It does. I think he used 3rd and 6 before, but yeah.
If you can just do those little things. I had a great, I was talking to him. I told you I was having that conversation with Stetson, right? We're talking about Michigan and yards per carry and rushing touchdowns. And I said, you know, the funny thing is, what's a word? For as pragmatic sometimes as I can be about results and how to get there, and very resolute in my beliefs on what it takes. I do understand, and I would try to convince you that they're not near as far away as people think. I went to 191 yards a game rushing for Georgia and the 40 touchdowns. In Nebraska, 176 yards per game and only 16 touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Nebraska, 7 yards rushing more per game than Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
7 yards more, 24 less touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not some Herculean monumental journey.
When you heard Joel Klatt talk about it, he goes, like, you were really on the margins of being a lot better than 5-7 last year.
Yeah.
And I think that's true, right? And then Rule immediately shifted to, hey, turnovers, right? Like, yeah, if we're
For
not,
like the second or third time during that
yeah,
conversation.
we're like, hey, if we're not minus 17, you're probably right. We probably do win more games. But I also, like, there's a part of me that thinks the team is better off having gone through that.
So you're cool because I kind of know your person. Well, I really know your personality. So I know you're gravitating towards. You don't mind talking about the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
You don't think turnover, like the constant harping on turnovers, has yet to reach a point of diminishing returns.
I don't know that it. I mean, I don't want to say never. I don't want to say that it never does. But you have to have the mental resolution to be able to hear it. Like, you know, people talk about this with free throws all the time. They're like, at a certain point, you just got to stop talking about free throws. It's like, well, at a certain point, you have to make your free throws. Like, that's the other option, right? Yeah. I'm not going to, like, if somebody's not mentally strong enough or mentally tough enough to be able to hear about the thing that they're not doing well until they do it well, then maybe that's not the right person for you, right? Maybe that's not the right person for this Nebraska program because they're going to hold you accountable. How do you hold people accountable? You communicate expectations, and you have to communicate where people aren't meeting those expectations. If turnovers are the problem, you have to continue communicating that until it gets fixed, because you can't just say, oh, well, we'll do better. It's like, hey, stop turning the ball over. It's like, no, not only are you communicating about the turnovers, you're communicating, okay, how do we stop these turnovers, right? How do we make sure? It's not just, oh, we're going to play cleaner football. Like, let's get specific here. Okay, are we talking about, hey, we're doing the X factor going into the end zone with the running backs? Are we talking about quarterbacks being able to read the defenses a little better and make better decisions? Are we talking about just executing the throws after they've made the right read? Are we talking about just catching snaps? Like, what are we talking about with turnovers? Because they happened in a lot of different ways last year. And so you can't just say, hey, we need to stop the turnovers. You got to get real specific, which means you have to talk about turnovers. And if you can't handle that, maybe it's not the right place for you. Like, if you can't handle I don't know how to correct people without talking about it. So if you're going to correct turnovers,
and we did watch it consume some people, right? Like,
and that's fine. But like,
it clearly, I'm gonna support the discussion here. It clearly affected Jeff Sims.
100%.
Like,
I don't think it affected Heinrich Harburg.
No,
he still had turnovers, but I don't think it was in his head about it.
Yeah.
I think Jeff Sims was in his head about it, and that's not saying anything about it. It's just like, some people can get consumed by it, like you said.
And what ended up happening? Well, it's just not going to be for you.
Yeah.
But at least you know.
Yeah, 100%. Like, the ambiguity is worse than finding out, like, oh, it's not for me.
Yeah.
Right? And Heinrich Harburg kind of found out, like, hey, yeah, I'm about this life. There's some things I need to improve, for sure. But Heinrich Harburg seems like he's about that life. I can ride with that guy. Like, even if that's not necessarily the guy that I want to be starting quarterback, you'd like to see somebody that plays catch a little bit better and has some things here or there or stylistically a little different. But that's a guy I can ride with because he's not going to get consumed by the things you need him to get better at.
Yes. And ultimately for this team and within the confines of this culture, those have to be the guys that you roll with. Mm-hmm. That's why I like the fact that he said, yeah, I'm going to play guys that are going to do things the right way. He snuck it in last year. He said, listen, man, I'm going to play the guys I trust. And if I can't trust you, I can't play.
Hey, I'm not changing on Saturday to try and win a game.
I'm riding with the guys that show me Sunday through Friday.
100%.
Yeah. He reiterated that again.
That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We'll be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio. Halfway through the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. If you're heading into work this morning, make sure you be careful. There's some water on roads kind of throughout the city. Hands on the wheel, eyes in focus straight ahead. As the driver, you've got one job to do, and that's to drive. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. Speaking of nationally recruiting,
yes,
Nebraska got another commitment yesterday.
Yes, they did. Been a long time since they dipped in the state.
Yeah, from Kentucky, one Jeremiah Jones. I see conflicting reports on how tall and how big he is. I've seen everything from like 6'4", 200 to 6'6", 215.
I'm gonna go with somewhere in the middle. Let's just go 6'5", 205.
Can I go 207 and a half?
Sure,
because that's actually in the middle.
Yeah, I remember that ridiculous number was at one point my goal for playing. Or
207 and a half?
Yeah.
Man, if I got down to 207, I'd be skinny.
Junior year.
Yeah. That's I mean, he's a 3-star out of Kentucky. Some people have him as a safety. Some people as an athlete. Got some positional versatility.
You could be a big wide receiver. Could be a smallish tight end.
Yeah, he's
could be a safety. It could be
played some defense.
It could be a second level guy.
Do you think he could? If frame wise, he looks like he could put weight on.
Yeah, I don't envision him being a safety. I think second level.
He almost looks like he could be sort of like that jack spot almost,
or maybe like Buddha.
Yeah,
or Javen.
Yeah,
I don't know if I should. He doesn't mind Buddha, and I know like Jessica and those guys call him Buddha.
I don't know.
Should I say Buddha? I mean, I'm closer to him than those guys.
Whatever you want to do.
It doesn't sound right though.
Well, I just think not everybody knows who you're talking about.
I'm gonna ask
when you say him.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate you clarifying, Javen, right? But I think he could, like, for a guy that athletic, I wonder if you try and get him into like a rush, like an edge spot.
Yeah, I like the fact. So one of the things I think has been kind of sneaky good is I like their athleticism in the middle with Bullock and Wright.
Yeah,
and they're gonna.
Yeah,
if those two inside, what I would call more inside guys, can take care of those hashes from hash to hash. That's kind of what I think kind of the key is for this defense.
So you kind of like him at being one of those, like a super athletic guy at one of those spots in the middle?
Because if you don't have to take those guys off the field situationally,
that helps a lot.
It's really hard. They can match personnel.
Yeah, you can disguise a lot where you're doing a lot better.
Wright can handle athletic tight ends. He can get it back out of the backfield, and he's learning to fit in the run game. You know, some guys, it takes a little time. And I think for Buddha, he had to trust his length.
Yeah.
Right? Learn to use his arms and his hands. And now he doesn't mind that it's so loud in there.
Yeah, it's messy.
Oh, yeah. I like to say messy.
Yeah, it gets noisy.
It is messy in there.
Yeah.
And I
think that's the hardest part about those positions.
And it shows up quickly.
Yeah.
Go back and watch Michigan and Iowa.
Yeah.
Especially late.
When they make it noisy in there.
Fitting in the second level.
Yeah.
With some of those inside runs it's critical. And you have to be able to play at angles, especially in this defense. Because I think Nebraska defensive line has shown the ability to play at the line of scrimmage. It's the cleanup guys.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes, I'm thinking about the last run that put Iowa in the field goal position.
Two guys, same fit, they both miss.
Yeah, and you can
get second and third level miss.
And you can get kind of sucked in and trapped.
Bullock got buried, and Gifford didn't clean it up.
Yeah, I felt like Bullock got trapped inside, and then Gifford wasn't able to make the play on the third level. And if you've got guys,
and that crease was pretty narrow.
Yeah, and if Bullock hadn't gotten trapped, probably doesn't even get to Gifford. But if it does, it probably gives Gifford a better shot because it gets slowed down by Bullock. So there's navigating the noise and allowing yourself to play to your athleticism is going to be really key. And I don't know, I don't know if being a little taller at 6'4" maybe helps him see above the fray.
So I think it's commitment.
Okay.
Right. I think it's the ability to shoot your shot.
Okay.
The whole cloudy clear, open window, closed window. When you see it, go fit it. Just the same as I would tell a running back. The same as I would tell a running back. You got, when you see the crease, you got to be the crease.
Yeah.
See the crease, be the crease. See the
once you see it, you don't have time to think about it.
Nope.
Absolutely.
Get in it.
Yeah.
That's the difference between good inside runners and not. When I look at a guy
that's trusting your training.
Yeah. Yeah. When I look at a guy like Fred Taylor, incredible inside runner because he's
really not special physically.
He's one of the most underrated backs.
He's really good.
He's incredible.
But you don't look at Fred Taylor and be like, oh, physical freak.
Yeah.
Right. But he had that ability to navigate the noise that we're talking about on the other side of the ball with these guys in the middle.
Perfect compliment for Bunnell and McCardell and Who's my other guy? Jimmy Smith.
Ooh, I love Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell.
They were tough.
That was a good wideout group there.
Dude, he was so nice.
He was a nice ball
I mean, he could tote the rock. I like guys like that.
Mhm.
Because if you have a veteran offensive line, which you do, and we heard Phil Steele, how about Coach Rule with the Phil Steele reference?
120 starts.
Yeah. If you have an offensive line that can get on guys, and I would love to see, you always want to see, hey, get to second level, right? Get off. Tandem, boom. Especially if you run so much duo and like Nebraska does, you have to at some point be able to get to second level. But if backs are just good with those creases, it adds almost, it's got to add a full yard to a run.
Mhm.
Just not being late.
Yeah, just getting there on time.
Yeah, just
getting
not
the crease on
being
time.
late seeing it.
Yeah.
It really, really helps.
Now, if
because
you get-
in those schemes,
Yeah.
you're always going to have gaps. So conversely, what was the great equalizer to zone schemes? Well, people would, they beat you to the spot, right?
Mhm.
They want you laterally because they want to fit, because those gaps move.
Yeah, it's like
on
fit
the fly.
and spill, right?
Yeah.
Fit and spill.
So when you see it defensively, you've got to go get it. You can't be a shuffle shot. That was probably my one criticism of like Reimer sometimes.
Mhm.
He could do some things really natural. By the time he saw it, it was sometimes just a little late on the trigger.
Half second late.
You know what I mean? And it's just playing at 45s. It's just trusting it. It's playing the position long enough where when you roll the dice, like you're coming up 7-11.
Yeah.
And if like I like guys like that.
And where it gets you in trouble if you're not able to do that in the middle is you get creased at the point of attack. Like if you get in the middle and you make the fit, but you still don't make the play, at least you're pushing them horizontally, so that they're not gaining anything yet.
This is
right. Like obviously you'd like to make the play, but you're at least pushing them to a place where it's like, hey, hasn't hurt me yet. You're giving your team an opportunity.
You want to give those guys a one-way go, right?
Yes.
Not a two-way go, because if you use the correct shoulder and you fit, then I know if I'm coming off the third level,
you know exactly where to meet the guy.
Yep.
Right.
I'm an alley runner. I'm getting my ass
like
in the alley.
if you're Gifford and Bullock fits in the right spot, you know where to go meet the spill.
Right. Instead of just getting buried. Right?
And yes, instead of getting lost and trying to figure out where he's at, because you only have one decision to make. Oh, got to go get him. Right. Where I think, and that's where it'll be interesting, because it seems like, and I might be wrong, it seems like a lot of seems like there's a certain instinct for it. But it does seem like you have to hone it.
Commitment. It starts with commitment. It starts with a willingness.
Okay.
It really does.
Because some guys just have better vision than other guys, though, right?
Yeah,
like
but
that's a real thing.
I'm working with a couple of our guys currently. Like, there has to be a willingness to make a play, and sometimes you may not make the play.
Yeah,
you make the play.
Do your job to allow somebody to make the play.
Yeah.
You make a play so somebody else can make the play.
Don't play peekaboo. If you're an outside shoulder hit fit guy, get your ass to that outside shoulder.
Job.
So I know we can fit inside.
100%. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We will be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next. AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. Wrapping up hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590 ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. And we've talked about a few things today.
Quite a bit.
You know.
By the way, my man JB and KC.
Yeah. Also seasons his food?
Yep, he seasons his, and I see
What's JB look like?
Kind of like he's got good build. He's probably 6'2". Kind of strawberry blonde.
Okay.
Ish. He seems like a big. He might not be 6'2".
Okay.
Maybe closer to like 6'1".
Got a presence.
Yeah, I know how that goes.
Look.
I do. I'm just agreeing with him. I'm closer to 6'1" than I am 6'2".
He looks like he works for a living.
Some days Shane feels all of 5'5".
This dude is wild. I just go back to last week. I was joking with Sasha yesterday on the phone. I literally thought you were going to snap last week. This dude was just on a roll.
I'm good natured.
He wouldn't let you finish.
I'm good natured.
He changed the subject. You're like, anyway.
You were mad at me?
Never.
Why were you mad at me?
Never
What did I
happened.
do?
Oh, what did I do?
It's never happened. You know who I've been mad at lately?
This ought to be good.
The Warriors front office.
They had to.
No, I'm okay with letting Clay go. I am. At this point, you had to, right?
Yeah.
I'm to the point, but there's been some, we talked about ineptitude with the U.S. men's national team. There's been some ineptitude in the last, I'm going to call it 6 to 7 years of Warrior front officing.
Because you think that they're blowing his window.
I think they did. I think it's over. I think the time in which you could win a championship with Steph Curry as your best player probably ended a couple years ago.
There was a time.
Yeah, there was a time because he got a bunch of them. Got a fistful. Yeah. Almost a fistful. He got 4.
Seems like I don't think 4 championships when I think of Steph Curry. Is that weird?
Yeah, it's because you're a hater. It's fine.
No, I like Steph. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
No, but it's not the first thing you think.
I'm not giving.
No, you don't
massages.
You don't think of him as. I think people think of other things with him and not like, oh man, huge winner. But he is. Like he's won a ton in his career. But I get mad because I felt like they had an organizational responsibility to maximize the number of championships they got with Steph Curry.
You want to compare franchises or just you want to revel in your own misery? Because I'll let you share.
Whichever.
You don't have to, because.
Well, I'm just saying because I don't think, and this is then you can we can share, but I don't think
it's not me, it's you.
I don't think they appreciated how rare it was the opportunity they had in front of him.
Do you realize how long they paid the luxury tax before they moved into the new arena? They were well aware.
Yeah,
they committed to your organization financially. Like you can't
financially.
Be mad. You can't
financially,
be mad.
Yes.
You can't be mad.
I thought they made. I can be mad, and I am mad because
you can be a lot of things. Doesn't make it right.
Because they lost because of their arrogance. They thought they could build another championship core while still winning championships with the original core, and that's not practical.
Okay, so
that's what made me mad.
I disagree vehemently. They kept the core together.
Yes.
There was no other core. There was
listen to them talk about it.
They were trying to supplement real time while the window was still open.
No, go listen to what Bob Meyer said about what they were trying to do.
Bob Meyer, like what's he doing now?
He's on TV now, but he is the he was there when when what I'm talking about was happening.
Real time. Yeah.
When they go Kuminga, when they go Moody, when they go Wiseman, he literally was talking about, we think we can build a second championship core. This isn't word for word, but it's pretty close, while still competing with our original core.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but they missed out on opportunities to win more championships with the original core because they had assets that are now worthless.
If you stay healthy, is this a different discussion?
I don't think so. The only one they missed because of health was 19. Like, I get Clay missed an extra year, but I don't think they probably would have won in 2020 anyway because, I don't know. I have no idea what would happen in 2020 because of the COVID season and everything. But the only one they missed out because of injury was when Clay and KD both went down in 2019 against the Raptors.
Okay. So that would have been how many?
That would have been 5.
Would you have been cool?
I've been happier.
Yeah.
But I think, so for the way things played out health-wise only, not organizational decision-wise, but from the 15 to 19 window.
Do you realize how good the West is?
Yes.
Okay. It's really hard to win.
You're telling me you don't think they could have won more if they traded Kuminga, Wiseman, and Moody for another guy to help them?
So the numbers had to fit, right?
Yeah.
What piece did you want to accentuate the core strengths?
There were
interior defense. What did you want?
There were early on. I thought interior defense was still okay with Draymond. I would have wanted, when KD left, another ball handler scorer. I mean, that's what KD was. He was a guy that could get his own shot.
Yeah, offense wasn't really your problem though.
Sometimes in the playoffs it was though. Sometimes things bogged down because they were allowed to be really physical with Curry, and so. If you have a guy that gives the little bit of a pressure release there, that's why that was the one good thing Jordan Poole did was during that playoff run, he provided that.
Hey, by the way,
and he's terrible.
Don't Google, but go to TikTok and go Jordan Poole, either bloopers or...
Oh, it's horrifying. I've seen him.
It's incredible.
Yeah, he's terrible. But he had one good run with them.
He has... So some of that stuff, he had... Like, you don't throw the ball to the other team multiple times on an inbounds.
Not on
or
accident.
just step over the inbounds line like walking. He does some things that are incredible.
He's one of the most careless players I've ever seen in my life.
But anyway.
But the reason I bring all this up is, like, the last few years, even when they were, like, I think, not this past year, but the year before, I think they won a playoff series or two. I didn't enjoy watching that team at all. I just didn't enjoy. Like, I didn't like watching the way they played. I didn't think it was like I didn't enjoy it. I haven't enjoyed watching the Red Sox for a while because they got rid of all the guys that I liked, and they were constantly frustrating.
Well, it's hard. So I can only remember. Let me be accurate here. I can only remember a couple of stretches of my sports fandom that I didn't mind missing one of my team's games.
Mm.
So
them being fun to watch doesn't matter to you that much.
I hate this Lakers team.
Yeah.
And I watch them incessantly.
Yeah.
Can't stand them. I haven't liked them for 2.5 years.
I'm not saying you don't watch, but don't you like it? Like, enjoying watching my team matters so much more to me than it ever used to.
You should try being a Steelers fan when they had arguably the worst offense.
I don't want to do that.
Well, I'm just like, I understand.
Yeah.
But there's just something about, like, I can't believe how you sound almost, I mean, you're a fan, so grateful isn't the word. But that franchise maximized darn near during that stretch, sans the injuries. You haven't really suggested a plausible option.
Not through through 19, I agree they maximized. It was after 19 when KD left. I thought they left a lot.
What did you want to have happen in 2021, 21-22, and 22-23?
I wanted them to trade the 2, the 7, and the 14 for a real piece. That's what I wanted. And not because those guys didn't work out, but because those guys were going to be...
You already were getting hit with the 5%. You're paying the luxury tax. You're second tiered. Like, I don't know what you thought you were going to be able to do fiscally. They had an obligation. They were already paying however much in tax. And you're like, hey, we're going into the new arena. Let's just pay.
Yes.
Well, I mean...
Like, if you're pot committed, you're pot committed. And now they're pot committed with a bad basketball team. It's not like they're in better shape financially now.
No, I understand.
That's what I mean. Like, if you're going to be paying that much in tax, why be bad anyway?
Because you were still going to the playoffs.
Go look. They missed the playoffs a couple years. They've been in the play. So we're talking about since 2019.
Yeah, they missed twice.
They've missed twice. They've been in the play-in twice, and they won a championship.
Yeah. Well,
they were in the play-in, like 4 out of those 5 years, they weren't even a top 6 seed.
So you didn't enjoy... You sound spoiled.
I can't want to enjoy watching my team play?
No, you can. But I think you have to, it needs context, right? Like the sense of entitlement versus the practicality of it seems...
I don't think it's impractical to say, hey, we've got 3 assets, which is super rare for a team that's been as good as they have. They had 3
Do you know,
top 14 assets.
I just saw a stat yesterday, 2 days ago. Shane, wake up over there. Top 8 quarterbacks that had incompletions based on inaccuracy.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those analytic stats that was measured. You know who was number 8?
Who?
Kenny Pickett.
Okay.
36.5% or something like that of his misses were just due to his inaccuracy.
Just because he missed.
That's hard to That's hard to watch. Your team is still trying to win, and they're trying to do it on the fly. Conversely, you're mad at the Red Sox because you feel like they mailed it in on trying.
Yeah.
Sounds a lot like a fan.
I am a fan. Well, what do you want me to do?
That lacks a little sense.
I would have a hard time being an Iowa fan, too. That's hard to watch.
They win, though.
They do, which would help. Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now by Mike Schaefer of Husker 24/7. What's up, Schaefer?
Not a ton. How are we doing today?
We're good. We're good. We referenced you earlier, man. There's some of those spectacular pictures, man. I'm just gonna call you. Just gonna call you Mike Blackstone. I mean, that's might be the new name, man. I blew that thing up. I showed Shane. I made it super big, and
Just trying to like Zapruder film this friggin' quesadilla.
I'm like, I was just putting, a line out there. I could probably eat about, I don't know, 12 of those triangles. I'm guessing maybe 15.
He's like, what do we got in there? We got some kind of almost sounded like Sipple, like, gotta be careful here. Might be some bacon.
I was captivated, man. I was like,
Yeah, it turned out pretty good.
my man likes some breakfast sausage, so we're on the same team, man. I'm always on the hunt for good breakfast sausage.
No, that was, I would say, of the stuff I've made on the Blackstone, that would be up there towards the top. And it was just like leftover. I told you, it was just leftover scrambled eggs, scrambled breakfast sausage, breakfast potatoes. Threw it back on there and put it into the quesadilla. And I used too much butter. That would be my takeaway from it. It was kind of dripping in butter, a little too much there. But other than that, fantastic. So
I watched this show on the cooking channel called Struggle Meals. That sounds like something he would do. Like, he'll pull off these meals and stuff that you just kind of have lying around the pantry. And he's like, yeah, that's a $2.95 meal. And I was like, oh, that's what Schaefer just pulled.
So I really like having random leftovers and then just combining them into some sort of tortilla. Like, just like 4-person burritos, more or less, is what I call it. But it works for me.
I have a Micah in our household is that guy. Like, if you have a tortilla shell, it doesn't matter what it is, he'll improvise and he can make up something to put it in there. It's like, he's like my human garbage disposal. So I like him because there's only 2 of us that eat leftovers in that house. So it's like, he makes me feel better about me being trying to be fiscally savvy.
Yeah, there's one in my house that eats.
That's it. Yeah. Just give it about another year or 2, and it'll be like you'll be feeding him table scraps, and he's going to be like, more. Give me more. we were talking, Schaefer, about guys that we were talking about windows of opportunity and guys that of our teams that you feel like left something on the table. And he brought up a couple, and then off air I was thinking about, like Shaq and one of the reasons why he makes me mad and some other guys. How do you feel about guys like Robert Smith, or you maybe got rid of Dalvin Cook too soon, but it feels like he had more? And are there guys that you've watched growing up? I don't know how I feel about Albert Bell, but you're like, man, they should be better than that. There's more in there.
I'm struggling to think of like an exact example. It's easy to pick on him because he's now in his 3rd organization, but he's been really good everywhere he's been. I think there's an even better version of Stephon Diggs than we've seen.
Still?
And he was to me unquestionably a top 5 wide receiver for several of those years with the Bills. But like I think that guy at any given moment, sort of like a Devontae Adams, a Justin Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, those are sort of my guys. And then CeeDee Lamb is like right on that cusp too. At any given moment, they can be the best they can be unstoppable. And I think Diggs can do that, but I think his pathway to getting there compared to those other guys is a little bit more difficult. I think the personality makes for a tougher fit. I mean, you put him and Mike Zimmer and Kirk Cousins on the same team. It was not destined for greatness, with those personalities, but he was really, really good. And so when he got traded, I was so mad because I felt like he was better than fans and the media in Minnesota thought. And then I was very happy for him with Buffalo. I think he's going to have a big year in Houston too. Like, I just think people want to write him off or discount him for whatever reason. But I think he's a really special player. He's the first one that came to mind when you were talking about, people that you'd want to see more of. And then for me, a lot of it comes down to guys who had gotten hurt. Like Grady Sizemore is someone mid 2000s.
Double deuce.
Nobody listening now knows how good he was. But when they talk about a 5-tool player, they're talking about Grady Sizemore. I mean, he could run. He was incredible in the field. He could hit for power. He wasn't going to have like the highest batting average, but he's still going to sit around the 285. He He's a complete player in baseball, and then his body just started breaking down at 26, 27, and he was never the same guy anymore. So he's someone that sort of comes to mind, but it's because of circumstance more so than just didn't live up to his own potential as an athlete. Other than that, I can't. Off the cuff, I can't come up with some. I definitely was ready for the Dalvin Cook era to be over, and I feel vindicated by that.
Carlos Baerga.
I think they moved on from him at the right time.
Yeah.
You get Roberto Alomar. There's nothing wrong with that. Greatest double play combination I've ever seen. Alomar was
pretty good.
They were slick.
Are you old enough to remember like the late '90s Indians? Well,
oh yeah. No, I would say so. The beginning of Cleveland baseball for me was like the '95 World Series, which is when I really kind of locked in, and then I remember the rest of that decade, unfortunately, too well.
So let me ask you this, right? So that was an incredible core of young players for that Cleveland Indians organization. Do you feel like they owed it to their fans to have gotten more out of that window than they got?
Full disclosure,
before they started moving on from Manny.
This is the Golden State crybaby in him. He wanted 5 championships and not 4. He's mad at Golden State.
I would have taken 1 championship instead of 2 World Series losses.
Most normal people would. Just not Ravi.
I wanted 6.
No, I mean it's tough because if you go look at that 1999 team, it's hard to imagine a better offense ever assembled. And yet, what did they draw in the playoffs? They got a 5-game series, and they got Pedro coming out of the pen in Game 5, and he just shut him down. I mean, you faced the best baseball pitcher in my lifetime. Like, I don't think there's anybody that's been better than Pedro Martinez.
You just made him feel better because this dude will wax poetic about Pedro from 99 to 2004 and just gush.
I don't know how you couldn't.
Actually,
there's no better baseball pitcher in the world to me than Pedro Martinez. You can give me any name, you can give me any stat. I would take Pedro against everyone every day of the week.
Even Paul Ossenmacher? Are you sure?
You can have Paul Ossenmacher and Paul Shuey pitching at the same time, and I would still take Pedro Martinez.
I think you guys were still rolling with Candy Adi in '99. Are you sure it's not the Candy Man?
No, it wouldn't be the Candy Man. It would have been Dave Burbo was their best pitcher in 1999. That was Cleveland's problem. Now they've gone the other way. It's all pitching and no offense.
You weren't a big late-stage Oral Hershiser guy?
They had Dwight Gooden.
No, 95.
I'm just saying, era adjusted, Pedro Martinez in that stretch is the best pitcher of all time. Era in that stretch, he's better in his versus his era than anybody in the history of baseball.
What was the rabbit hole you went down again?
With Pedro?
Yeah. Was it on?
It was on Baseball Reference, and I'm just like staring at. What number? There was sometimes I get lost in the number, Schaefer, and I just stare at like Pedro or Barry Bonds, and I'm just like, that's unbelievable. I just find
those websites are the biggest time suck of my life. Like the Baseball Reference, the Football Reference, the College Sports Reference. Like I spend way too much time just clicking around, and it's like, okay, so Pedro did this. But what did it look like for Randy Johnson in the same year? Yep. And then I have to go and look at that. And then all of a sudden you're looking at Larry Walker and you're like, man, that guy could hit even when he was in St. Louis. I can't believe people thought he was a product of just Denver. And then suddenly an hour has gone by and you're like, yeah, I didn't write anything. I didn't do anything. Okay, cool.
Dave, you know what my favorite Baseball Reference find is of all time? And this is a Barry Bonds one because I'm a huge Barry Bonds honk. I've told you this one before. Barry Bonds had an 1,000 OPS or better in 15 of his last 16 seasons in the big leagues. Do you know what his OPS was the one season that he didn't reach 1,000?
Like 988?
999.
Yeah.
So
that's my favorite. That's my favorite thing.
I'll give you another crazy one. And I saw this. John Smoltz said this. Between Pedro Martinez, Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine. Over, I think, it was 500 at bats, maybe. How many times is more than that? How many times do you think that foursome
struck out Tony Gwynn?
Struck out Tony Gwynn.
Ooh, that's a good one.
It wasn't much because I know Maddox never got him once in the entirety of his career.
2 of the 4 never got him once.
Yeah, Pedro wouldn't have faced him a lot
Pedro never got him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times do you think that foursome struck out Tony Gwynn?
Let's say 11.
4.
You say 11 off 500 at bats, and you got it.
And you're
4.
you're almost 3 times too high.
Smoltz said it's incredible.
Yeah. He's a
I think-
special player.
Glavin got him. I think Glavin got him once, and Smoltz got him 3 times.
It's unbelievable.
Of course, Smoltz would bring it up then.
Yeah. He's like, oh, you guys know this? He hit.
It's the bottom of the 7th inning between two teams that Tony Gwynn, never played for or that he's never played for. John Smoltz is telling you that story. Baseball announcers are the best. There could be an actual game going on, and you're hearing, any random possible story. That's why Vince Scully was amazing.
Well, it happened the other night. Who hit? Was it Alvarez? Somebody hit a home run for the Astros, and they're telling a story about John or Verlander, inventing like his spin rate at this age. Like balls just leaving the yard. I think it made it like, I don't know, 6-4 or something. And it's like, hey, that was a piss rocket he just hit. You guys may want to just talk about that for a second.
I believe the phrase is piss missile from Michael Brooks. This is the first one I've ever heard use it.
So piss rocket's actually older than that.
Yeah.
We used to say that like back in the day, and then piss missile came up, and it sounds better. But they're both same idea there. Let's do a little. I'm gonna do a little Tony Gwynn trivia for you here real quick, okay? Tony,
the heck with recruiting in Nebraska's, their week.
We'll get to it, but I'm obsessed with these. So Tony Gwynn played from 1982 to 2001. That's 20 full seasons. What is the last year that he played in which he did not hit over 300? 82 to 2001.
I'll go 99.
Schaefer?
I'm just going to say 88, and I have no reason for it.
82. He didn't hit 300 as a rookie and then hit 300 in 19 consecutive seasons.
Incredible.
That's incredible.
Unbelievable.
He was also just a terrific athlete. I know that for people my age,
good call.
He was a really good basketball player in college.
Great call, Dave.
You wouldn't think it because he was so he looked like human Humpty Dumpty by the time, I'm watching baseball. But that guy, you look it up, the steals were incredible. And then you just hear people talk about him as a basketball player.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute. The Tony Gwynn that I know was a basketball player. It's hard to imagine that. But yeah, he was he's one of those guys that's a better athlete than you realize that he was.
He had 56 steals in a season one year. He hit 370 that year.
There was just a stretch where you just couldn't get those guys out.
Yeah.
Boggs, Gwynn, even
Strawberry.
George Brett.
George Brett.
I was going to say George Brett. Yeah.
Dude, in 3 different decades.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Anyway.
Baseball stats are fun, Schaefer.
Schaefer, how do we feel about HKT?
I feel great. I thought that was a big recruiting win. I feel even better because I predicted it in February on a podcast.
Yes,
and there's audio. There's audio that I can play forever. Now, they have to get Aiden Manitai for me to really be able to hammer that one home. It's 2 for 2. But it's a huge recruiting pickup for a few different reasons. One, I think he's underrated, and 24/7 Sports is actually probably going to bump him. I know that 2 of our evaluators that have seen him in person have gone to bat that he needs to move up. So he's quite possibly going to be a 4-star by the time this is all said and done. Secondly, I love the fact that they've gone into Hawaii these last 2 years and they've pulled one of the top linemen. They already have offers out to the number 1 and number 2 for 2026. I think they can build a little bit of a pipeline there because if you have Donovan Raiola and his connections, certainly Dylan Raiola playing, and then, of course, obviously, Dominic is on the wall at the stadium. You have that history, but you start to get these guys in the program. If they begin to play, it becomes a lot easier for you to go back to Hawaii time and time again. And I like that he's an interior offensive lineman. I think that they know what he is right away. I think that benefits everybody because Donovan Raiola is going to be better with interior offensive line. I think that's his area of expertise. And because he played it, he knows it. I just thought this was a big recruiting win. And I don't know that people realize Arizona State made this one really tough. It kind of felt like it was going to be Nebraska, the whole way. And then I started hearing whispers that Arizona State had really kind of moved in on this, and they have their own Hawaiian offensive line coach, and they picked up a Hawaiian offensive line commit earlier in class as well. But to get Houston Kahina-Torres, I mean, it's a big recruiting win. I felt for Nebraska and for Donovan Raiola. And, if you look at their last couple offensive line classes,
pretty good.
They've stacked some pretty good bodies in there. I mean, as much as I complained in November of 22 and December of 22 when the decision was made to bring him back because I thought his recruiting had gone absolutely terrible in that one cycle under Frost, and I wasn't, the offensive line was bad. He has really, out of all the assistants, has really sort of come on and impressed me the most with everything. I mean, there's been a lot of growth there, I think, for him. And it just kind of goes to show it's really hard to judge a guy off of 1 year, and especially when that 1 year is 2022.
Yeah, well, we go on and on about how, like, fish out of water that experience was for Raiola, really, with, an offensive coordinator that didn't really want him or know how to be any sort of coherent offense with him, a head coach that was on his way out. I mean, that whole thing, I don't really know how you judge anybody in that situation. But
right.
I agree with you. Like, he wasn't my favorite guy. That wasn't the guy I thought they'd bring back for
I think his greatest claim to fame is he never killed Frost during a practice.
You said he never what?
That he never killed Frost during a practice. I think there's something to be said for that too.
Incredible restraint.
Was there a line of people,
I'm just saying.
I know you're just saying. I know what I've heard too.
Yeah, they had some doozies.
Yeah.
Could you
also wasn't the first offensive line coach to feel that way.
Very smart there, Mike J.
So outside of the offensive line recruiting, which I think we feel okay about now, we got Tapu, got Kahina Torres, and we feel okay now. We good?
We still, I think, we got a couple more fish on the hook, right, Mike J?
Well, they've got those Bishop Gorman guys, but I just don't know that they're leading for either one of them. I wonder if we're going to get to the point where they're going to be going into kind of the senior film, looking for the Xander Ruggiero-Rolis types that they were able to pull last year. Who I think we talked on this show a couple weeks ago. That's a guy I'm really excited about. I'm not as worried about what they have going on with the offensive line, in part because I think they have a couple tight ends in the program that might end up as offensive linemen too. They took 6 or 7 guys last year. I just should we not talk about that? Like, I don't.
There's some people
it just gets very touchy. I know what some analysts say about guys moving from tight end to tackle, but.
I'm not even talking tackle. I mean, part of it right now is it feels like they need to go get another offensive tackle. I think that's the area where you look at this offensive line and what they brought in. It feels like they have a lot of really intriguing interior offensive line prospects. But it would be good if they could get, another big tackle. Like if they could have added someone like Caden Massey to Grant Bricks last year, I think you'd feel even better about where they are tackle-wise. But I think that's sort of the one last remaining thing with the offensive line. Otherwise, I feel good about what they've done on the offensive line. And then certainly, they have defensive athletes for days. You just pull up that commitment list and you got all these guys listed as athletes that could play multiple different positions. It's a really unique class. If you sit and you look at the class, it's not how you would have thought it would have been drawn up, but there's a lot going on there.
Well, you get another potentially defensive athlete yesterday in Jeremiah Jones as well, although he can also play receiver, it appears. Where do you have an inkling on where you think he might end up being best at?
I tend to feel like he starts on the defensive side of the ball and maybe in that sort of rover linebacker type of thing. That's kind of where it seems like his value might be. You're talking about a guy, and I don't know that he's a full 6'4", but let's say he's 6'4", 200 pounds. Let's say he's just listed height. I mean, that's a really intriguing safety linebacker rover. Or why couldn't he be the next Javen Wright? I mean, there's a lot of similarity in their game for me too. So that's what I wrote about yesterday. And I think that's kind of the path for a Jeremiah Jones. And Javen Wright's a guy we probably don't talk enough about that, could have his own breakout coming here in 2024.
Arguably your single greatest episode ever that didn't include a rant, because I am 1,000% holding your hand on just about everything you said so far. It started with the breakfast sausage, so you softened me up. But I can't, like, the Javen Wright thing is so, that's what I see. And I think even furthermore, I said yesterday, if Javen Wright is good and he's playing next to Bullock as those two inside guys, and they can run and play at angles like that and fit in the run game, this defense really has a chance to be pretty good. Like, you're 100. We don't talk about him near enough. If he's good, they got a chance to be great.
I think one of the things that excites me about this defense is once you get past the defensive line, which, I'll gush about for days, and I don't have to right here. If you look at all the collection of players that they have in the back half of the defense, starting with the linebackers, moving back to the defensive backfield, they have a lot of mix and match type players where I think you can get good performances week in and week out. You might not have like a designated, this guy's going to get, all the reps or whatever, all the snaps. But in certain situations, you have like some really strong situational role players throughout this defense. Like, I think that's really good, because if you have that foundation built and you have your core, but then, your second guys at the position are able to come in, there's no drop off, or you can utilize them when a team wants to spread you out, or if they want to pack it in and go right at you, but you have the pieces to be able to do that. I think they are deep in a really fun way on the defensive side of the ball, and it's not necessarily full of star power, but it's full of really fundamentally sound football players, which is why I think their defense could be pretty good again this year. I mean, the one hesitation I have is, what it looks like in the secondary, because I think you lose some really heady, veteran pieces there. But the rest of it, I feel pretty good about what that defense can do.
Yeah, if Jamal Charles keeps coming along, I don't know if I would be like, ooh, exhale, but I think he's got
Jeremiah Charles, right?
Did I say Jamal?
Yeah,
not the little Texas KC guy. Jeremiah.
Yeah, well,
chance to be good.
Nebraska fans just shudder to think of what he did in 2007.
Yeah, we are unfamiliar with him. We don't need to talk about that. Schaefer, we appreciate the time as always. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys, have a good 4th of July. Count your fingers before the day starts and leave with the same amount when the day ends. That's the goal.
I got 10.
No JPPs around here.
Wow. Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, and we are brought to you by Durkin Designs. Man, with this weather especially, I know you got some needs in your backyard. Need some cleanup, need some maintenance, need to redo some of those paver patios, retaining walls.
He's good with advising too.
Whatever you need, he can tell you what you need, and they've got a ton of experience on that team. Make sure you give them a call, 402-779-4444, to get Durkin Designs to let you know what you need in your backyard, front yard, wherever it is. I know after all this weather, I'm going to have to give them a call because I've got some stuff going on in my yard. We need a little help.
So what time is it coming today?
All day, I think, is it's on pace for.
Huh.
It's going to be one of those.
Yeah.
Who am I supposed to call? I can't make it stop raining.
You can call Durkin.
I just got to call Durkin Designs after.
And make sure you press 1.
Press 1?
Yes.
All right, we'll press 1.
That'll go to him.
That's what you need to do.
Press 1.
I didn't know. I didn't know you had to press 1. That's good to know.
For a tag team that I couldn't absolutely stand.
Tag team, back again.
It is still one of the greatest entrances of all time. It's no World Warriors or anything.
I'm currently looking for a box score from the
to see how many times Fred Taylor did not carry the ball against us.
Yeah, 1996 Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah,
and it's a struggle bus.
That roster for them was loaded. They were just a year away.
Well, yeah, they beat the brains out of Florida State the next year.
Yeah,
after losing to them, people forget.
I don't think anybody forgets.
Well, they lost in the regular season, and then they won in the Sugar Bowl.
Jaquez Green, Ike Hilliard, Javon Curse, Taylor. They were.
So I don't know if this is correct.
What are you looking at?
But this says that he had 0 carries against you in 96.
No, I can believe that.
Williams had 6.
Elijah?
Jackson had 4. Anthony had 2.
Riddell?
And Werfel had 9, technically, because he got sacked 9 times.
Daniel?
Danny? They had 12 on-purpose rush attempts.
Yeah, that's a problem.
It's not good. You don't want to let those guys just pin their ears back and go. That's a bad idea.
Especially when we come in, we're not supposed to, and we end up getting sacks.
It's a bad idea. You don't want to just let those guys. You don't.
We know that. When Jamel came, he wasn't supposed to.
Peters and on the safety,
he just committed to it.
He was just like, "Let's go."
Yeah, I'm dead serious.
That was almost a strip sack too. He almost lost that ball. Werfel holds on to that thing like down around his knees.
He's one of the more underappreciated players in Nebraska history.
Jamel Williams?
Yes. His versatility allowed for a lot of creativity.
Yeah.
When you have guys that's why I like when you have guys that you can say erase this part and they can, and it's just one guy. Like if you can play a puller and get the number 3 coming out or rush the passer.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
So, and when you have guys like that,
that was a pretty good football team.
Everybody else can kind of do their thing.
Yeah.
I'm Gene.
This is a pretty good football team.
They're okay.
It's not bad. They had their moments.
They're okay.
They had their moments.
Well,
my favorite part of that broadcast, if you ever go back and watch it,
I never have,
is the first.
It would not interest me the slightest.
As they're bringing the game in. The overtime rules were new, and they're like, "Hey, we might have a barn burner here today. We want to make sure you're familiar with the overtime rules." And then it ends up just being a whooping. It's kind of funny.
Didn't go to overtime.
It did not go to overtime. I'm not sure that. I'm not sure Steve Spurrier would have enjoyed playing you guys a second longer than he had to.
Coach Osborne, we're pretty good too now. Bristle Upton, Doc.
Pretty good too. Yeah. It's we like to look back. We're talking about Fred. Why were we talking about Fred Taylor?
I was talking about gifted zone runners and how you need.
Oh, we were talking about hitting the crease.
Yeah, you need guys
seeing it and going
defensively that can. That's kind of how I felt about. Now he wasn't to this level, obviously, but I did feel like that's what makes Edwards at Michigan really good.
Oh yeah.
And I wasn't down on his yards per carry early because he just seemed like a guy that needed a feel.
Yeah.
So he's going to get more touches.
Kind of getting a lather a little bit.
Yeah. Did you think Phil Steele was going to be higher on Michigan?
No.
No.
I think the people that know what
don't they have a 9? They have a
9.5.
Yeah.
That's their number.
That's a lot.
That's high. It's too high. You need to put 2 of those over on Iowa.
You didn't move that Vegas line yet?
No, I haven't. I'm surprised Phil didn't, though, with as high as he was on him.
I was a little surprised to see he was so high on SC.
Yeah, I was too. That's the one that surprised me because I don't think SC is going to have a good year.
Well, you know who wasn't high on SC?
Who?
That would be one Joe Castiglione.
Yeah.
I sent you that, right?
Not real high on Lincoln in general. I don't know about SC so much as his former football coach.
It was apparently we missed the party yesterday, Shane. We weren't invited. The whole Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC.
It seemed like
when all of a sudden did they pull a Creed and have open arms?
With arms wide open?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm about to buy some tickets though.
Is it 9:30?
About 20 minutes. 24 minutes.
I don't think you have to rush.
As soon as this thing's over.
I think you'll.
Oh, that's why you didn't want the 10 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, I was like, wait, hey, I got stuff to do.
You got stuff to do.
I got to buy my Creed.
Everybody was like, no, we talk to Sasha every day. We're good. I think I talked. Was it this morning on the way in or yesterday?
Got to get Creed tickets.
And believe me, nobody wants to talk to me at 6:40 in the morning. Hello. What do you need?
Especially when you're woozy after knocking yourself out in the shower.
No, you just. That's exactly how it was.
How does it go?
You ready?
How does it go? If you're not watching on the stream, you're missing out.
Apparently, it was too long.
Yeah, you.
Do you know what I blamed it on? Not my own stupidity.
What's that?
I blamed it on the fact that I used Zoe's curly kid shampoo and it made me lightheaded because it smelled like flipping berries and juices. I was like, this is awful.
Yeah,
But it was the first one I grabbed.
I don't think it was the shampoo's fault, DB.
So, do you think there'll be a run on tickets?
Listen,
Are you gonna have to get in line early?
yeah, absolutely.
Or are you going for front row?
No, I'm not a front row age anymore. I want to make sure I have a nice.
I mean, they're not gonna be
So
moshing or
what's-
anything, are they?
What's Creed? Oh, he is wearing the sleeve, though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I jinxed him. I said he's moving around well.
he does not look
I'm
like he's
talking
moving
about
around now.
Joker off the bad knee from the French, and he's not all of a sudden not.
Yeah, he was moving gingerly. I wonder if he did something
He's moving what?
gingerly.
Oh, I thought you said something else. Nice. That's kind of a gingerly. That's, He's got those all on the old tip of the tongue.
I mean, I don't know how many days we're gonna come here and to be like, oh, Robbie knows words. I got.
I am fairly proficient in the English lexicon.
Yeah, I mean, I got some versatility.
I forgot what I was going to say, though. I'm out. Oh, SC.
Yeah,
Like, are they all of a sudden, are they just going to figure out how to play defense?
yeah, I don't think so.
That's why I wasn't
I'm not super high on SC.
That's why I don't know what to think about Sierra.
I don't
Plus
either.
He missed a year.
Yeah, I'm more concerned about that than I am because it seemed like he was all right. Like physically,
Do you think LeBron will come see him play?
they good friends. I mean, he hasn't come to see Mason Miller play yet.
He was in
So
Space Jam too.
no, I know, but I don't know how good of friends they are.
LeBron's on.
Like it seems like he'd be closer with.
He called him family.
Seems
Is
like
that just a term to describe toxic behavior?
if it's LeBron, probably.
You're such a hater.
If it
I'm the one that doesn't like LeBron, and even I don't treat him like that.
he hasn't come to see Mason Miller yet, and he said Mason was family too. So what's up?
I hope. I wonder what kind of shape Wright can be in.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. I'm curious about the time off. I'm curious, like, is he committed to football? Like, if he's not, that's cool. But like, go do your other thing. I don't want him,
You think he's gonna get the week on off to go act or something? Like,
I'm not thinking, well, like,
Coop ain't having it.
I know Coop's not having it, but like, mentally, is he all the way checked in? That's what I want to know.
Well, I know one thing.
He better be.
It'll reveal itself in a hurry if you're with Coop.
It certainly will. But doesn't do Nebraska any good if he's not.
Godspeed.
So we will wrap up the show coming up next on Hurrdat Sports Radio. Wrapping up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on KFOR in Lincoln as well as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We're about 16 minutes away from ordering our Creed tickets together. Me and DB are going to go. We're going to have a great time.
No, we're not.
No, you don't want to go to a concert with me?
Mm-mm.
Why not? Thought we were friends. What happened?
That wouldn't necessarily be a distinguishing.
You don't want to go to concerts with your friends? Okay.
I told you, I've been to a concert in double-digit years.
Is Creed a group concert type of thing? I mean, you see a lot of.
Yeah, I'm definitely not calling up my guys and like, hey, man, let's go hit Creed.
Well, to be fair, I don't think there's a lot of people that run in your circles that maybe enjoy Creed the same way I do.
There's a lot of room out there. I mean, you could be in the back by yourself if you want.
I'm
I'm just helping you out, Damon.
Saying, who do you think I would call to go with me to see a Creed concert?
Ravi.
if I had to guess, like our guy Ryan Peters might be the only like friend that I'm looking at. Like, yeah, maybe him.
He would. No.
No?
Mm-mm.
You don't think so?
No, he would make fun of me.
That's fine.
He's very snarky.
Oh yeah, I know.
Like, I don't even know if I would let that. I wouldn't utter the words.
I'm trying to think. Is there anybody on the coaching staff? No, I don't think so. Yeah, that's about it. I think I don't think you have a lot of Creed fans in your circle.
I mean, hey, Tony, you gonna go hit Creed?
I can't imagine Tony Veland at any concert ever.
Hey, T. Fraze, you want to go see Creed?
He doesn't.
Would you call anybody from work here? I mean, would you call like the boss and say, "Hey, Bill, you want to go hit
You
Creed?"
think Bill likes Creed?
Probably not.
Think if Creed was playing this morning, he'd have turned it down any.
Just crank
slower.
that thing up.
You ever seen him walk that fast?
No.
Yeah, dude was not happy.
I bet he would have cranked. If it was Creed, he'd crank the thing to 12.
Is Bill the kind of person that would make a call? Who do you think he's calling over whatever the issue was? He had to do a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what the issue was because I literally turned off everything, and it had to be like I think Sasha said it had to be hard reset, which I don't know what that means. Despite how I look, I'm not like super technically savvy. I'm just savvy enough to be dangerous.
Hard to reach set is usually just power off, power back on.
What is this?
What are you producing over there?
1987.
No, what's 90?
Good old fashioned turn
It's
it off,
not
turn it on
90
again.
anything, Shane. You missed. You almost missed. You almost missed the date by about 30 years there, Shane.
People love the long shots.
You hear that? He goes in 1987. He goes, no, it's 90, and then he just stopped. He's like, nope, it is not 90 anything.
What were you gonna say? Hopefully not the. Hopefully not the year.
I was going to say it's like 1999. You know, I mean, it's just power down things, isn't that? Isn't that what they get?
The last good year for Nebraska.
Oh, Sauter says that Vers would go with you to Creed.
Vers I would never hear the end of.
Would you take Sauter with you?
No, Sauter doesn't like Creed. I already asked him about it.
That Vers would be the last.
I don't think Vers
person I would ask.
Sauter likes him.
With arms wide open.
With arms wide open. That's true. We do have evidence of Sauter liking Creed. It's recorded for all of history and posterity.
Well, that's a great question, Ravi Lulla.
Why do you go first name last name?
I don't know. I mean, Rule didn't even go first name last name when he said I had a beautiful question.
So, you know what happened when he talked about it? Do you feel like he gave the analogy of like digging, and he said you have to go down before you have to. Did you think he really did that? Because I'm not sure he did strip the organization down. But I wonder about. Do you know what I mean? Because we heard the whole. Who gave the termites reference? Was that Riley or Frost?
I don't remember.
I think it might have been Frost, like starting over with the house, but he really didn't.
No, he didn't at all.
Remember, he went with the kind of the quick,
he was getting
recruiting cosmetic thing.
Yes,
Riley didn't say much, but it didn't. I guess he did turn the roster over.
Yeah, there's pretty good changeover.
Yeah, he
in
turned
year one.
He turned the roster.
He brought in a bunch of new guys, and I think you also saw the guys that stay are different than they were before.
You know, the cool thing that I was glad to hear him talk about it to say out loud, and is the conversation I said he and I had privately about. He said the thing that people don't talk enough about when it comes to him taking jobs is how much he loves being here.
Yeah,
and I believe him. Like different than.
Well, what did he say to the first question? What's your favorite thing about being the football coach in Nebraska? He said living in Nebraska.
Yeah. His kid.
No one who has had this job before would have ever given that answer.
And you know how often he's here, right? Like,
yeah,
he comes to. I mean, he likes Omaha.
Yeah,
he likes Lincoln.
Yeah,
his kids.
He brought up Omaha when he was giving that answer. He goes,
he knows more about Omaha than maybe me. Listen. Dude's stealthy now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Gets in, gets out. Well, how many concerts has he been to here?
Well, also, like, not to mention, he came to Lincoln like a month before he was hired, and nobody knew.
Yeah.
That's a real thing that happened.
Is that Coach Rule? Hey, what's he? Nah.
What's he doing here? It's a Zach Bryan concert. What's he doing here?
Absolutely.
Just canvassing the joint.
What do we got going on here?
But I'm being serious because I think when your family's good,
yeah, it's way easier to be good.
You're good,
yeah, not just good in terms of like happy, but it's way easier to be good at your job.
Yeah,
because you're not splitting focus all the time with like I got to put out this fire at home and my wife hates it here and whatever. My kids are unhappy and they don't like their
we've
school.
seen that. He told us, right? We've seen if a level of if you don't have any conviction. Like this place it
can eat you up
in a hurry.
I mean, what he said that almost word for word. I gotta find my notes here.
Yeah, if you ever send me the Bible again for a rundown, I'm not opening it. You were doing way too much.
I was just taking notes.
Yeah, but I had the press conference. I had the sit down.
So what you would like me to do is
that was more for you than it was for me.
Yeah, it is. So just skip that part.
Okay.
I'm not going to make two separate documents.
I appreciate the blessing.
I'm not going to be like, oh, well, this is DB's rundown and this is Robbie's rundown.
No, like, why does it have to be the voice? Is that what you think?
And this is Shane's rundown. I'm going to send this one to Sasha.
What was the quote, numbnuts?
It's all one rundown. And I just sent it to everybody. This is DB's rundown. No, that's me talking to you.
Like I'm 4?
A little bit. I think we
That
played.
sounds soft.
I think we played this earlier. He said, I would not be able to be the head coach of Nebraska had I not gone through that, talking about Carolina. Because every decision you make is magnified 10 times over at Nebraska. And if you're not really confident in who you are, I could see it really affecting you. I could see you compromising. That's exactly what we've talked about with Frost.
And it wasn't just
it wasn't just him, but
and Riley's wasn't as much his fault as much as he was kind of stripped of some power. But
yeah,
like you can't.
But you've said, I don't know if he's admitted this publicly or not, but Frost has said if he had gone back and gotten it, he wouldn't have compromised early to try and win.
Yeah,
that was the thing that it seemed like he regretted the most.
Yeah, 100%.
Which is fair. Because it did feel like he compromised.
And that is also one of the reasons why I felt like.
But I also get the pressure.
He could get,
I also get the pressure.
Look how guys look when they leave here.
Mm-hmm. It's like when you're, it's in like a CEO or high stress job and you go in and you're all bright eyed and you got, still got dark hair and you leave and you got like bags under your eyes, you got gray hair. And
it's funny too, because I think one of the things that he said early on, it was on a Sunday when I went up there with Adam, he said one of the things that was really, really important to him, he's like, look, man, I got to be me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't be anybody else. I don't care if I'm in public, if I'm not in public.
Yeah.
I'm not going to compromise just to make other people happy or to do it this way. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to be who I want to be.
But you know what you have to be in order to do that? Incredibly secure in who you are.
Yeah. He said, if I want to go out and have a soda, I'm going to have a soda. If I want to go out and have a beer, I want to have a beer. If I want to go out
with my family,
I'm going out to eat.
Like, you're going to find us. You're going to see us. You're going to see us out there, right? And that's been true. He is, and
I do think having that peace of mind is like lowered the stress level.
Yeah.
Right? You want to go to Omaha and eat at the 15 restaurants you like? Come on down.
Let's go for it.
You like school here? Come on down.
Absolutely. But you have to be incredibly secure in who you are as a person in order to operate that way.
You know how much
everyone is.
Do you know how much you have to like a city to want your parents to be here?
A lot. Yeah.
Especially when you got a lot of options and where you can move.
100%. It's not like there is really a financial limitation there.
Oh, man, but, stop.
He likes it here. It's okay to say out loud.
Yeah.
We're like hedging, though. We're hedging our feelings is what we're doing. Because we're afraid.
You're talking about when people say that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because we're afraid that he's going to pull a Trev or whatever.
That guy's on a bad run.
And yes.
I still don't believe Schlossnagle, though.
I don't either.
I mean, he's totally scapegoating.
100%. Yeah, because he stepped in it. And now he's trying to reshape what happened.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's fine.
But I could definitely see Trev saying, if you're that miserable.
Yeah. Right. I think like maybe that conversation happened, but not in a vacuum.
I completely agree with that.
You know what I mean? Like that's not that. It wasn't like he just came up to him random one day and be like, hey, if this isn't for you, maybe you should just go.
Especially when you're talking to their AD every day.
It's okay to go. Just go ahead and move.
We needed to do something.
Like that conversation doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? I don't know the context of what happens. Maybe it makes Trev look better. Maybe it makes Trev look worse. I don't know.
I guarantee you're not believing that one-sided.
I guarantee it didn't happen in a vacuum.
I agree.
That is not an isolated. Like there's context to that we don't have. And who knows? Maybe it makes Trev look worse.
Sometimes you like context. Sometimes you don't.
I always like it. I just don't always use it. Depends on if I need it or not. I like to accomplish my goals.
At least you're honest.
Sometimes context is useful. Sometimes it's not.
The countdown is on. 5 minutes for your tickets.
I'm so excited. I'm getting logged in. I'm ready to go.
Might be the strangest obsession I've seen in quite some time.
Getting some Creed. Let's go. Let's do it.
I'm going to help you just pick your seats.
And not like Michael B. Jordan. It's stir, so I don't think it's seats. I think it's like open.
Oh, even worse.
I think. Listen, I'm not excited about it necessarily. I'd like to have a seat, but I'm going. It's better than driving 4 hours to go see him,
right?
Which was my next option. That's DB. I'm Ravi. Lulla, Hurrdat Sports Radio.